It's Monday night, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk, and I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, top 50 Latino via the Latino Spirit Online magazine, as well as being the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. Without a doubt, folks, the people's choice and the people's voice and the most handsome face that runs the place. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, it is me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday to you all as we are closing out, thankfully, the month of June. July 1st cannot get here soon enough for me, as far as I'm concerned, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I want to thank you all for tuning in from wherever and however you may be doing so on Facebook Live via StreamYard and also on the Jersey First YouTube page. Folks, hey, I say it all the time, sharing is caring. Please take a moment, click that share button, and of course, on all of your social media platforms. And again, wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take it with you wherever and whenever you travel during these summer months, whether you're driving down, maybe not today with all this rain, but for Tiki Mondays down the shore, maybe you're going to Atlantic City, maybe you're just going across the river to New York City and maybe doing some tours and whatever it is, eating outside with this beautiful weather. When it's warm, obviously, hey, take Jersey First TV with you all summer long. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot say enough about how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media, folks. That's right. It is Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of the Nader Narrative air every Thursday via jerseyfirst.org/TV. Of course, the Nader Narrative hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader. You don't want to miss new episodes every Thursday, as well as brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap with AJ Malilo and Stephen Rombolo. Of course, folks, new episodes air every Thursday as well on Jersey First TV, of course, via jerseyfirst.org/TV. And certainly, last but not least, brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe air every Monday night. Now, during the summer months, it might fluctuate a little bit, 6 p.m., or even tonight with 7 p.m., but folks, we'll keep coming at you. See, unlike other journalists or, well, propagandists, really, that take off during the summer months, hey, we never take a break here on Jersey First TV. So, of course, we'll keep coming at you with brand new episodes every Monday night during the summer months, folks. And I cannot say enough, of course, all the outstanding organic traffic that this show continues to get every single week. Folks, it's about as organic as Whole Foods, okay? And while we have a lot of different Mickey Mouse journalists and Mickey Mouse activists, Mickey Mouse, advocates, academics, whatever, that have to boost their stuff, folks, here on this show, it's completely organic. It's due to all of you that tune in every single week. So thank you. Again, I'm not the most humble person, but thank you to all of you that make the success of Jersey First TV. And of course, Real Talk with Fernando Uribe, again, what it is every Monday night. Folks, again, politics never takes a break here on the program. And of course, joining me here live tonight, a big fan of the show, a guy who I have enormous respect for, not just for getting married, right? Taking that plunge, a brave soul that he is, but he's an amazing elected official. He's a distinguished councilman in the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills out in Morris County, folks. My good friend, Justin Musella, joins us here on Real Talk. Justin, how are you?
Hey, Fernando. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on. Always a pleasure to be back with you talking about our favorite topic, politics.
Absolutely. And again, shout out to your lovely wife, who, again, I appreciate, giving us a few minutes tonight here. I know that you're very busy, so shout out to her. And once again, congratulations, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Getting married there. Any little Justins on the way, or you don't want to go on record?
Well, we're coming up on a year now of being married. It's gone really fast, so we'll see what the future holds.
Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. And let me have a baby shower, okay? But folks, again, check out Parsippany.net, obviously on whatever social media devices or any devices that you frequent quite often, Parsippany.net, for everything that's going on in the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills out in Morris County. Justin, a lot to unpackage here. It is an election year, and while obviously we're going through a lot of things in the state of New Jersey, obviously later on this November, really at the top of the ballot are all 120 legislative seats that are up for grabs. But local races also matter in 2023. I know in your neck of the woods, as they say, there's a lot of interesting local races. So let's talk about that. Certainly, there's a chairmanship coming up as well. I believe between your mayor in Parsippany and I believe the local president of the Board of Ed there. I'm hearing sources telling me it's gotten fickle, it's gotten a little testy, it's gotten a little chippy. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it definitely has. And what good competitive race doesn't sometimes teeter, unfortunately, into the negative. But everything I have seen come from Susie Golder, the one running for school board, has been very positive. She's been running on the issues and talking about what her vision is to grow our local GOP. And as you had said in your earlier point, the local elections do matter because the person that is running that local town party is going to be a better advocate for the county party. And that person is going to be able to better help the legislators, the county commissioners, and all the candidates that depend on the locals to provide them with the grassroots support, to host fundraisers, to help it with voter registration, which is really the meat and potatoes of growing the party. So all of these races are really important as we speak.
When we think about, again, these local races, though, Justin, obviously where I live in Hudson County, it's as blue as Windex, but that's not the case out by you, obviously, in Parsippany-Troy Hills, in that area of Morris County. Well, I mean, there's parts of Morris County getting very purplish, maybe, not completely blue, but purplish. It would seem that, again, where you reside in that general vicinity still remains about as red as my jacket.
Yeah, I think that's a good analogy. We control all of the county offices. All of our legislators are Republican, and obviously a special shout out to our chair, Laura Ali, who picked up another legislative seat for Morris County by helping Mike and Ganamore get across the finish line. So I think the party has definitely grown stronger as we've tried our best to unify and capitalize on our voter registration numbers where they are.
When we think about certainly what this year means, again, getting back to sort of the local races, we'll touch upon the statewide ones in a moment. But when we think about local races, obviously primary day has come and gone a few weeks ago, but it was pretty contentious in that area. And even, again, in nearby Sussex County, where, Republicans just seem to not know when to get out of their own way. And, more on the NJGOP and my grievances with them later on. But it would just appear, though, Justin, that in a time when Republicans have to be vigilant and keep seats that they already not own, but, currently, are the incumbents, as opposed to, Democrats continue to sort of increase with their voter registrations. Democrats continue to sort of get out the vote. They've been very good at mobilization. Obviously, they have the liberal media in New Jersey in their pockets, right? I mean, when it comes to, talking about, let's say, worthwhile issues like school board races or school board meetings, right? I'm the only journalist in New Jersey talking about these issues. Again, we got David Cruz, Uncle Dave with NJ Spotlight News taking vacations now, dreaming about the next sandwich he's going to eat, or Max Pizarro with Insider NJ, kind of like dilly-dallying around. We got NorthJersey.com. We got Tom Moran, Incoherent Tom with the Star Ledger, worrying about things that, quite frankly, don't matter to everyday people when, for example, like school board races matter. These primary races are important because I think it really delves into the pulse of what that district is and I think the general vicinity. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it definitely is. And I think you do a really good job of highlighting the key issues at the local level. So it's to your credit. And we need more people like you because it's impossible.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you.
To cover.
Justin, do me a favor. Make sure you reach out to Rosemary Becky at Jersey First, a reminder, okay? Shoot her a phone call you can, okay?
I'll ask her to get you a raise.
Okay.
But it's impossible for you to cover 564 municipalities with almost double the amount of school districts. So we need more coverage about what is really happening at the local level, because to your point, a lot of these things that our everyday voter cares about, sometimes they're just not aware of it. due to the fact that there's not great coverage of these things that are sometimes done behind closed doors or done at an empty meeting room. As you know, some very important decisions are made without the input of ordinary people.
And folks, by the way, if you just joined us right now, folks, it's 7:11 here on the East Coast. My guest tonight is the distinguished councilman from the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills out in Morris County. My good friend Justin Musella joins us here on Real Talk. Justin, let's get back to Parsippany here on a local level. And certainly, it's interesting when I look at news sources within every, all 21 counties. And obviously we've seen with the growth of the internet, social media, print newspapers are really dying out. And they're becoming as really irrelevant as Joe Biden's cognitive state, really. And it's interesting to me that, sources like Tap Into Parsippany, Patches, those type of sites, I think have really come into abundance in the last few years. Again, and I look at Tap Into Parsippany, and I look at someone like Marianne Carrillo, who sometimes aggravates me with some of her content and some of the editorials that she allows on Tap Into Parsippany, but I look at news sites like that, and I find them to be, I would argue, such an asset, I think, to local officials and local townships and municipalities in a time where, again, the Bergen record is declining quicker than the Mets in October. The Star Ledger, NJ.com, NorthJersey.com, sort of the tangible newspapers that we've grown up with are pretty much becoming extinct. And I think you look at these news sites, and at times they can be a nuisance, but at times they can be informative.
Yeah, and I think that's what goes with freedom of the press, right? You have a right to be a nuisance, and then you also have a right to sometimes say things that align with, our point of view. As a politician, I of course wish the press would agree with me, 100% of the time, but that doesn't happen. And it's a healthy, thing for us to have objective journalists. And I agree with you that are gravitating more and more towards the online version, with respect to Tap Into Parsippany Patch, Parsippany Focus, and even really the Daily Record to a lesser extent. But I do grow concerned by the decline of print journalism. And, I grew up reading a newspaper. I still remember newspapers at every cafe, bagel shop, but you don't see that anymore. And so as a consequence, when we get, a majority of our information online, and in particular derived from Facebook and Instagram, it really begs the question of who's verifying this information and filtering this information. Because in politics, and particularly local politics, I can assure you that old adage that a lie travels around the world before the truth is put on its shoes is 110% true.
Great line there. Great quote for sure. I think it really gives us a good perspective about how we consume information, which has changed drastically, I would say, in the last maybe 10 to 15 years. Obviously, we saw with the growth of Facebook in 2005. I mean, we're approaching 20 years basically of Facebook in our lives, which subsequently being followed by Twitter and Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok now, and other other online platforms that allow us to disseminate information. And to your point about accuracy, I mean, that's one of the things that drives me crazy about my colleagues in the field of journalism, that, again, I understand there's a propensity to get it out first, but you also, I think that there needs to be an urgency about being right and factually accurate. And that's not always on the agenda. I think we see that, especially here in New Jersey. Justin, again, staying in Parsippany here, obviously as a councilman, I remember when I interviewed you on another podcast, and obviously on this show as well. I mean, you're a guy that is inspiring for multiple reasons. I mean, you ran a grassroots campaign basically right from the ground up. And I remember, we talked on my shows on multiple occasions about knocking on doors, being visible, going to town events, again, being out there, cutting your teeth, rolling up your sleeves, doing the dirty work, doing the things that sometimes maybe we don't want to do on a campaign trail. but you exemplified that, and that's why you won. On your time on the council now, what are you learning? And quite frankly, sort of like a moment of self-awareness. What could you be doing better?
Sure, I think that's a great question, and I ask myself that every single day, and I try and be a better person than I was yesterday. So to answer your question, I think when it comes down to what I can be doing better, I am 2 years into a 4-year term where learning government has been like drinking from a fire hose.
Yeah.
And
good analogy. Very good.
Yeah, and something that I've had to learn the hard way, because I come from the business world. I still am in the business world. I have a full-time job where I don't make my livelihood from government, and the way I want to do things and the way that I believe things can be done doesn't always align with the people in government who have their own perspectives, their own hidden agendas that don't necessarily benefit the public. But I think being 2 years into a 4-year term, I can say, and I remember when I was running for office talking to you, and you would graciously have me on, that governing is a lot harder than campaigning for the job.
That's right.
And it's so much harder because you're making decisions now that affect people's lives, and you have to get the buy-in of other people who may be hesitant to take a risk, whether they be politically related, they might not agree with you, or they've just been so used to doing it their way for many, many years that all change is bad. And so, I think seeing that has really been something that's been a focus of mine to do better, is to learn government as much as I can, to understand all the laws and to really see how I can do the maximum amount of good from my office.
Justin, obviously you're 2 years in. You'll be up for re-election in 2025. I think it's fair to say you'll be running for re-election 2025.
Well, we'll see. I think, right now in 2 years, it's really hard to plan ahead in politics, because so many people plan on what they're going to do, and then God intervenes and calls them in a different direction.
Absolutely. Again, I hear a lot of whispers about what your name represents, and a guy who's, I would argue, whose political capital is on the rise. Now, obviously, you're not committing to running for re-election in 2025 yet. Again, there's a lot of time. But I keep hearing your name for governor, bro. What's going on there?
Well, I definitely can assure you, if I run for something again in 2025, it would not be for governor.
Okay.
I appreciate you even thinking that highly enough of me to ask me the question, but I would sooner support you for governor than run for governor in 2025.
Wow, I'm flattered. And I'm going to tell you something. I'd be a great governor, especially after the disaster of the emperor the last 8 years. Well, soon to be 8 years. Thankfully, there's term limits. Otherwise, we'd be stuck with the emperor for another term, knowing New Jersey.
And I think what you and I have in common is that we are just radically transparent people, where when we tell people we're going to do something, or we fight for something that we think is a good thing, we're willing to go it alone, and we're even willing to disagree and sometimes hold accountable other Republicans. And, I can say for one, I've proven that I'm willing to hold my party hostage to its core values, because I believe they mean something. And when we depart from those values of what I feel gets us elected into office, then it's my duty, responsibility, and obligation to, say why I'm disagreeing with people if I think we're going in the wrong direction.
Justin, when I published the promo photo for this afternoon that you were going to be on the show tonight, I got a few text messages. I'm not going to tell you from who, but I got a few text messages saying, hey, if you're going to have Musella on, ask him about that tax hike that was passed in May, and it was on obviously different news sites in your neck of the woods. how do you kind of respond to people that, again, based on some information sent to me here, obviously I know it was also in the news, about a 2.57 tax hike taking place after the budget passed. What were your concerns about that? And certainly, what do you want to tell our viewers? Obviously, constituents of yours in Parsippany-Troy Hills that might still be, not happy about seeing a tax hike.
Sure. Well, they should know that I didn't vote for it. I was the only one to vote against the budget, and I was the only one to put forth a tax cut that, unfortunately, other Republicans didn't want to give to the voters and residents of Parsippany. So the actual tax increase was 3.76, though, not 2.5, and that comes on the heels of almost a 14% increase last year. And so I voted no on both of those budgets because I felt like they were bloated and they increased government spending, and it ran contrary to the platform that we ran on when we campaigned in 2020 to get into office, which was that I told people if you were sending me to town hall, I was going to do everything possible at all times to reduce government spending, to improve the efficiency of the town, find ways to reduce our operational costs. And if we did things that departed from it, I would be an independent and outspoken voice on that being not the right course of action, which I would say of things that I have done right in the last 2 years, I've stuck to that.
Justin, it's interesting because I'm always someone that's always, if you watch the show regularly, which I know you're busy, I forgive you if you don't watch it on a regular basis. I forgive you, brother.
I always watch when I'm on.
Well, that's right. There you go. Okay, so I'm always talking about fiscal irresponsibility in Trenton, but it also sort of, trickles down to a lot of municipalities. And I'm always concerned when I keep seeing municipal budgets get fatter than the newest Victoria's Secret models, that are obviously that, there are our television sets and also on our social media feeds. But, it drives me crazy because, again, we're 3 years out of COVID. The idea that, Washington's not sending COVID relief money anymore to Trenton. Obviously, we know the emperor's sitting on COVID money in Trenton. More on that later. But it drives me up the wall. I almost feel like I'm losing my mind when I see municipalities having a tax hike or growing government irresponsibly. And again, the reason I asked you about it is because for people that didn't know, I wanted to make sure that they knew it and they heard it from you. I knew you were the one no vote on that budget. So good for you. I wanted, my audience to hear it from you. But also at the same time, when we talk about that, what concerns you the most about this budget? Again, it's probably multiple pages. I don't expect you to commit it to memory, but what stood out for you about what was the most egregious?
What stood out to me was the most egregious was that there's over $1 million of money allocated for vacant positions at town hall. So essentially taxpayers are paying for people to not show up to work. And I don't think that is a good use of the residents of this town. And it's something that in 2019, the Democrat mayor, if you'll recall, before our current mayor, we had a Democratic mayor. And that mayor was called out by a then, and still Republican council for doing the same thing. And when I proposed this idea as a part of the overall larger tax cut of about $2.1 million, it somehow, what was a good idea in 2019 was not a good idea in 2023. But to your point, I think overall, our budget is probably not very unique compared to many other municipalities that increase government spending beyond what it should be spending money on. And that's why it is so vital to elect people and hold them accountable. If they say they're going to town hall or they're going to Trenton to cut spending, then you need to do it. You need to present a plan. You need to muster support. And you need to stick to your word, because when you're up for re-election or if you pursue higher office, the party faithful and the independents and even the Democrats that our message attracts, they know what you stand for, and you don't want people to become cynical. Otherwise, it's hard for them to buy into your message down the line.
Speaking of being cynical, I think you know how I feel about the NJGOP, Justin. I go after them as much as I go after Democrats in Trenton. But, in a cycle like 2023, where there's a lot of vulnerable Democrats, especially in Central and South Jersey, up by me in Hudson County, it's as blue as Windex. Okay. So those legislative districts, 31, 32, 33, are pretty safe Democrat districts. And again, listen, I'm very fortunate because my mayor is also my state senator, and he also makes it a point to be fiscally responsible and to make sure that we're not growing government, that we're not, suffocating taxpayers and raising property taxes. Obviously that's not the case statewide, since we have the highest property taxes in the country. I think, and just look at the number here at 9,270. Obviously, up by me, I was just driving by the George Washington Bridge yesterday to go to Yankee Stadium. And obviously, as I'm driving through Fort Lee, taxes there are like around 11 to 12,000. And if you go further south into, let's say, Summit, Cranford, or Townsend, Union County, they could be as high as 23,000. So certainly property taxes continue to, escalate. And we're seeing that in a year where we know what Democrats do poorly in Trenton, the leadership, the emperor, certainly the Assembly Speaker, the new Senate President. It just, again, for people that aren't aware, by state law, obviously, we're, a couple of days away from the state budget having to be signed. And if the state budget is not signed by 11:59 p.m. on June 30th, then the state will shut down at 12:01 a.m. on July 1st. We've seen that in the last 20 years. We saw it in 2006 under Governor Johnny Dollars, John Corzine. Mm-hmm. And then we saw it in 2017 under Chris Christie. So certainly it's something we don't want to have happen. We don't want to see state services being shut down. But we know that Trenton Democrats are fiscally irresponsible, the leadership. Justin, it just seems in a year where Republicans can win some seats in the South and in Central Jersey to shave into that lead in the legislature in both branches. It just seems like Republicans get to the goal line, they either get stopped at the 1 yard line or fumble the ball out of bounds, or they get stopped on fourth down. And I'm tired of it as a fiscal conservative. How do you feel?
I agree with you. I think that, look, taxes can't be our only issue. And I have long thought that despite the public saying that taxes are their most important issue, if that were true, then this whole state would be blood red as your jacket, and we would control all three branches of government. And I want to balance that statement with saying that I think people get disillusioned when they see Republicans not cutting spending and growing government. Yep. And it makes it hard for the voter to say, well, if the party that told me they're going to give me more of my hard-earned money back in the form of a tax cut isn't going to do it, I might as well just vote for the party that's going to give me more free stuff. And you can't blame them, because it's very hard to find those examples in our party who are doing it and who are living up to it. I know there's many assembly and state senators that, vote no on the budget and do, roundly criticize Phil Murphy for increasing government spending. But I think we also have to talk about other issues, talk about, what's being taught in the schools and, how important it is to have school choice. I think that's a really key issue that aligns with a lot of independents and swing Democrats who are also concerned at what happens when you transfer too much power into government, and it's raising your children and it's teaching your children things that you disapprove of strongly. So I think we've got to find other winning issues, and there are many, but we can't always just make taxes be our only one for the reasons I cited before.
No, you're absolutely correct. Folks, it's 7:30 here on the East Coast on Jersey First TV. My guest tonight is the distinguished councilman out of the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Justin Musella joins us here on Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. Folks, sharing is caring. Click that share button. It takes 2 seconds. Come on now. And you show your support for the show. Justin, it's interesting because obviously in an election year, it seems like many Trenton Democrats are more concerned about pronouns than property taxes. And I think that's really just sort of skimming the surface of a lot of the woke nonsense that permeates in Trenton, a lot of the social justice, clownery that I like to ridicule all the time on this show. But I think especially during this election season, and we saw it in 2021, We saw it last year. We even see it this year during primary season, where school board meetings are now more important than ever. Okay. And I know that, and I don't have a problem saying this, it's June 26th. I cannot wait for July 1st. I'm so done with June. Okay. And I think everyone knows where I'm going with this. Okay. I am sick to death with a lot of the alphabet mobs sort of, shoving things down our throats. I got some heat last week or 2 weeks ago from the mayor of Hoboken for daring to object to drag queen story time in Hoboken at the Hoboken Public Library and calling out the mayor and the rest of the Mickey Mouse Club on the city council in Hoboken about things like that. But it just seems like parents now more than ever are waking up to, and again, let me be very clear about something, okay? I'm all about equality and inclusion. I get it. There's plenty of reasons, Justin, to dislike Fernando Uribe, but being straight is not one of them. I get it. I understand that. Okay. I understand that, what it's like. I don't know what it's like to be marginalized based on my orientation. I get all that. I've had that luxury. But the idea that we've gone from basically, hey, let's help out a marginalized community to make sure that they have access to equal rights, to, hey, if you don't bake a cake for me, you're a bigot, to, hey, if you don't refer to my proper pronouns, I'm going to go to HR and make sure you're fired, to now, hey, let's just make content as overtly sexual as possible in front of our children in the name of equality. And I just think that while I'll just come on and say, I think Pride Month has gone away from what it was meant to be 20, 30 years ago to now this commercialization on steroids, to where now, again, I'm a conservative. I live and let live, okay? Love whoever you want, sleep whoever you want, do whatever. However, the idea that content or optics at parades, right? You can have a pride parade, but it doesn't take, it's not supernatural, folks. You can go on YouTube and look up pride parades in New York, in parts of New Jersey, where kids as young as 1 or 2 years old are being brought by their parents. Talk about irresponsible parents. And visually seeing things that, quite frankly, they should not be seen, all in the name of equality and inclusion. Justin, I'm not buying it, and I'm not going to stay quiet about it. What say you?
I think your point illustrates the strain on the social cohesion of the country, where a very small minority has, through government, tried to impose its values on the rest of us.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we're seeing the seeds of a cultural revolt of people who don't want these things taught in their schools, who don't want public facilities to see things that would have no place there. And I think that's why we need to pay attention more than ever of what's happening at the local level, and what are the decisions that these school boards are making, not only just for cultural reasons, but also for the financial reasons. Because to be fair to municipalities in New Jersey, 60% of all local spending is all dominated by the schools. And then that, 30% is the municipalities portion. So I think for both the cultural and the economic reasons, there does need to be a renewed focus and emphasis on finding good people who align with, our values to run for these offices to win, and then start making the decisions that we feel are going to turn things in the right direction.
Speaking about decisions and hopefully going in the right direction, before I let you go, though, Justin, 2025 will be here before you know it. I know we were having some fun earlier about the gubernatorial race in New Jersey. Again, thankfully, the emperor's term will come to an end in 2025. Not soon enough for me, obviously. But there's a lot of chatter, obviously, and we'll get to Democrats in a moment and sort of break down that field. But obviously, reported last week by David Wildstein, the editor of the New Jersey Globe, arguably the best news site in New Jersey, the most accurate, the most fair, and the one that's the most reliable. Obviously, Insider NJ, NJ Spotlight News, NorthJersey.com, Politico to some extent with the New Jersey Playbook. It's just propaganda. But, David Wallstein has the best sources and the best outreach in the state. And it was reported that while he has not announced officially yet, two-time candidate for governor for the Republican Party, Jack Ciattarelli. Again, I'm not going to go into details. Obviously, I want to respect his family at this time, but we all know what David Wasserman reported on. We all know what his marital situation is presently. Do you think that's an issue that could come back to haunt him as he's on the campaign trail and as he's trying to kind of stay ahead of the pack here, where we're seeing names like radio personality Bill Spadea, State Senator John Bramnick, State Senator Michael Testa? These are names that are kind of floating around there for the Republican Party, but it seems like Jack is still the front runner, even though he hasn't announced. How do you see what's going on with Jack, and do you think it's something that maybe could present problems for him on the campaign trail?
Yeah, in reference to the article that you mentioned with the sad news of Melinda and him parting ways, I don't think we should judge anybody by their worst day and what is probably a personal failing. I would not ask that you judge me, and I don't judge others by their what I see. I judge them based off of the person that I know. And I can tell you that I know Jack Ciattarelli. He's a good person. He's extremely hardworking person that, I see everywhere, going up and down the state, doing everything he can to help the party grow in all 21 counties, which I commend. And then with some of the other candidates, like Bill Spadea, I've been an avid listener of Bill Spadea's show. I don't really know Bill Spadea that well, outside of very few and brief interactions. But I do think he did some damage to himself needlessly getting involved in primaries. And one primary to cite in particular was in our own district with Joe Panaccio, Jay Weber, Brian Bergen, and Tayfun Salen. Bill Spadea, heavily promoted the people that went off the line, and that was a primary that's probably cost all in all about $500,000. Wow. $500,000 that could be spent elsewhere helping other candidates, like in the South, in those competitive districts that we need to win, sure. Take back to take back the legislature. It could be used for a whole multitude of purposes. So I don't know what damage that is going to do if and when he does announce. But that might just be he never wanted to pursue the line anyway. Mm-hmm. So that remains to be seen. And then with some of the other people that I really don't know who else is out there that wants to run for governor outside of the people that have made it, really clear to us, who is running. So,
just to be clear, obviously there's not been one official Republican candidate yet. We're hearing whispers about maybe State Senator Michael Testa down in LD1, State Senator John Bramnick, obviously Bill Spadea, Jack Ciattarelli as well. But I just think whoever it's going to be, though, Justin, I think Republicans, again, face an uphill battle in a state that Democrats do a very good job in registering more voters. Right now there's, I think, about 1.5 million more registered Democrats than there are Republicans. Obviously, we know independents decide elections, but if they're not motivated or feel enthusiastic enough to vote, they won't. And again, case in point, look in 2021, only 35% of registered Republicans came out to vote in that gubernatorial election. And unfortunately, and we all, again, I don't want to revisit past history, but we all know that many conservatives throughout the state got very fickle. It was a testy primary. Well, this Republican's not conservative enough, and I don't like Jack because he doesn't do this enough or that enough. And again, when Republicans are that fickle, knowing that they have the disadvantage registration-wise, and let's be honest, I like Jack personally. You're right. Everything you said about Jack is correct. I like him. He's a nice guy. He'll answer my phone call when I call him. Okay? I respect him. He respects me. But again, I think a lot of Republicans weren't enthusiastic. And if only 10% more Republicans came out to vote in a time where we know what the emperor did wrong with COVID, he ruined the state. He contributes to learning loss in our children, in our public schools. He shut down businesses. Republicans could be looking at Governor Ciattarelli running potentially for re-election in 25, as opposed to the end of 8 years of a disaster that is Phil Murphy. So I just think Republicans need to do a lot of work here between now and really next year, because obviously next year's presidential race is going to be front and center. And whatever happens there could have an influence about what happens at the gubernatorial level in 25 here. I just think Republicans need to do a better job at messaging, and they're not doing that right now. I just, again, in a year like 2023, where they can make some gains in the legislature, Justin, where they can shave a little bit into the leads in the state assembly and state senate, I remain pessimistic.
Yeah, I'm an eternal optimist, so I always have to think things can change, and I do think things are going to change.
Yes.
I think that I agree with you on messaging, but we also have to do a better job of mobilizing, because ultimately we lost because the vote didn't turn out.
Yeah.
And to your point, if that 10% extra amount of ours showed up to go vote on election day, Jack would be our governor right now. So it is extremely important. And I tell people this all the time, that even if your candidate doesn't win the Republican primary, 50% of a watermelon is still better than 100% of a grape.
That's right.
And we have to evolve behind the mindset that it can't always be all or nothing. Because if it is all or nothing, then that's not a winner's mindset. And the Democrats do that better, where the day their primary is over, they all gravitate and help whoever wins to get into election day. So we have to really look to that team spirit about mobilizing and messaging, as you had mentioned.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, though, Justin, folks, again, if you're not familiar, again, Parsippany.net for all municipal information concerning the township of Parsippany and Troy Hills. Certainly, you can contact the councilman, Justin Musella, at his obviously at his council email, jmusella, that's JMUSELL at Parsippany.net. And of course, you can reach his office line. Don't blow up his phone. Don't harass him, folks, okay?
You can blow it up. I love it.
But it is 973-263-4351. Again, you can check out Parsippany.net for all the really important information going on in the very vibrant municipality that is Parsippany-Troy Hills. Justin, before I let you go, again, you're always a gentleman to come on. My best wishes, once again, to your wife. I'm sure she's probably like, come on, is this guy done already? Come on, Fernando, let's go. But again, shout out to your wife, your lovely wife. Again, congratulations.
I can tell you she feels a lot better because of all the shout outs you've given her. So
all right, good stuff. All right, well, good.
I'll be forgiven.
Good. We'll have to go on that double dinner date that we've been talking about for a while. Okay, so we'll have to do that.
You pick the place and I'll pay for it.
Oh wow! Okay, damn. You know what? I'm Cuban. I will not pass up a free meal. That's for sure. But Justin, before I let you go, man, listen, you're always a gentleman, man. I look at you as one of the growing stars in the Republican Party, not just in Morris County, but in New Jersey. You're a guy who did it the right way, rolled up your sleeves, won a campaign in 2021 where many people thought you could not. And I knew you could. I said it on the record. I know others did as well. Elizabeth Nader, my teammate here on Jersey First TV as well, did that. But again, I look at you and I look at your political capital, bro, and it's as high as anybody right now that I know in North Jersey. So again, congratulations to you, to obviously your work ethic, what you do for the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. I'll give you the last word here tonight on Real Talk.
Yeah, I would say thank you again, Fernando, from the bottom of my heart, having me on. I think you do an incredible job of impartially talking about the issues that matter to everyday people in New Jersey, and giving all different people from varied backgrounds to come onto your show. I know you Democrats, Independents, Republicans, and you talk about the issues. You have really rigorous debate with people, and I think that's the type of information source we all need more of. People that are willing to make you think about issues, and it's to your credit that you're able to do that and allow people like myself to come on and share our perspectives. So thank you to you, and keep up the great work.
My God, I'm blushing here. My cheeks are getting as red as my jacket here. Thank you, Justin. But in fairness, I appreciate the kind words. But to a point you just made, and it's interesting, is we just celebrated 3 years on the air here with Real Talk with Fernando Uribe. And Justin, I can tell you honestly, in the 3 years this show's been on, and my other shows as well, There's never been one screaming match with any guest whatsoever. I've had guests on that I disagree with, vehemently, and it's never resorted to a screaming match. It's never talking over anybody. It's never been hostile. I think that's what makes this show different and separates it from the rest of the other shows that we see in New Jersey media. So again, I'm proud of that, and I'm going to continue to do that. And again, having great guests like you makes a huge difference, because obviously people want to tune in and they want to hear from interesting guests, and obviously very transparent public officials like yourself. Folks, he is Justin Musella, distinguished councilman in the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills. Folks, he's our guest tonight on Real Talk. Justin, enjoy the rest of your summer. I'm going to cash in on that free meal, bro.
You should.
I will. I hear there's a lot of good dining options in Parsippany, so I'm going to do my homework and I'll get back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Fernando. Have a good night.
Have a great night, bro. God bless you, and talk to you soon here on Jersey First TV. Take care. Folks, great episode there with Justin Musella, again, distinguished councilman out of the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, and a vibrant community once again in Morris County. I have to get some homework in there and check out some good restaurants there. Got that free meal coming. Oh, baby. Yes. Folks, I got to tell you, obviously, if you're just tuning in now, sharing is caring. Click that share button as you're watching Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. Well, folks, before we call it an evening, you know what time it is. Yes, it's time for final thoughts here on the show. And folks, I have to tell you something. Saw a column over the weekend from the New Jersey Monitor. And there was a time, I think early on when it first started, that I had this sort of high opinion of the New Jersey Monitor and its editor, Terrence McDonald, right, who I didn't think was ever going to resort to being a propagandist. Again, we all know who the propagandists are in New Jersey media, right? Whether it's Uncle Dave, David Cruz with NJ Spotlight News, whether it's Tommy Boy, Tom Moran with the Star Ledger, whether it's Chucky Schmucky there, Charles Style with the Bergen Record, right? Matt Friedman with the New Jersey Political Playbook, right, out of Politico NJ. We all know who the propagandists are in New Jersey politics, especially in media, right? We all know who they are. But it seems like there was a time, and I know Terrence McDonald personally from his days working here at the Jersey Journal in Hudson County to branching off to different news sites, and of course, starting his own with the New Jersey Monitor. And I still have a pretty good opinion of Terrence McDonald and the New Jersey Monitor. But from time to time, they kind of aggravate me by just giving a platform to virtue signaling. And, there was a column that came out just a few days ago by some of the resident virtue signalers at the New Jersey Monitor, of course, Dana DiFilippo and Sophie Nieto Munoz. Again, great ladies, great journalists. Sophie obviously is great to look at. If you haven't looked at her online, Google her. She's definitely nice to look at for sure. And they're great, and they're very talented journalists. But I'm looking at a recent column here. And again, and what's interesting, folks, and let me give you a little context here about what drives me crazy, because when it comes to reproductive rights and reproductive issues in the state of New Jersey, it drives me crazy because it makes me think about the amount of just liberal, left-wing leaning women, right, woke women that just, folks, and again, I'm not a woman, okay, I'm a man, I'm a biological male, okay, that cannot get pregnant, okay, contrary to what many on the left might think, okay, but it drives me crazy during not just this election season, but I think any election season, when certain issues get weaponized. And here in New Jersey, more than any other blue state that I can think of, maybe other than New York and California, man, has the left found a way to weaponize abortion, the Dobbs decision last summer from the U.S. Supreme Court, okay? And again, just look at some of the, the clip arts there that I've mentioned, okay? That is what many women on the left look like, and that's their reaction when they realize they can't murder children in states that they don't live in. The meltdowns, okay? The meltdowns, the tantrums, the rants on social media. But oh my God, they're coming for my uterus. No one's coming for your uterus in New Jersey. Okay? No one's coming for you. Ladies, newsflash, nobody's coming for your uterus in New Jersey. Okay? And what's even more hysterical, again, and obviously you can see there a scene from The Handmaid's Tale. Okay? literally, okay, before any issue ever comes up, folks, this is probably roll call for most progressive women in New Jersey because they're looking to be offended by something at any time of any day. All right. That's how I look at progressive women. I look at it as sort of like a roll call from the women in the show. Again, if you ever watched it on Hulu, it's a great show. The Handmaid's Tale. A bit hysteric, a bit overblown. And of course, the liberal media and leftists and progressives and the social justice clowns and the woke fools salivate over themselves about, oh my God, this could be America. No, it's not. Stop it. Stop your nonsense. All right? No one's coming for your uterus, especially in New Jersey. But the ones that really drive me crazy, right? And we all know who they are, right? Is the typical progressive white liberal. Okay? You see it right, folks? You see it right there. A suburban white woman with multiple degrees who owns a $750,000 home in New Jersey and drives an $80,000 SUV feels oppressed. And we all know who they are, right? Whether it's the typical insufferable feminists like Erin Chung, the president of Women for Progress, whether it's the former president of the New Jersey chapter of the National Organization for Women, Anjali Malhotra, okay? Whether it's other insufferable women like Amy Torres, the executive director of the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, right? Take your pick. Whether it's white women, brown women, black women, whatever, this is the type of sanctimony and the outrage, the fake outrage that they engage in. That they think somehow, again, a scene from The Handmaid's Tale, the popular show on Hulu, that's going to be their future, according to them. And that's just not the case. Now, what doesn't help, obviously, is when we're seeing columns, as I mentioned before, by Dana DiFilippo and Sophie Nieto Munoz from the New Jersey Monitor. And again, shame on you, Terrence McDonald, for allowing this nonsense, for enabling this nonsense. Okay? So the title of the article is, a year after Dobbs, New Jersey abortion rights advocates celebrate wins, but fear backsliding. Nonsense. There's no backsliding. Okay? I'm not going to read you this entire column because I don't want to put you to sleep, folks. I want to keep good traffic here. So after the U.S. Supreme Court last year struck, and by the way, folks, this column, it felt like a dissertation. It was like page after page after page. I'm like, I'm looking at this. I'm like, Dana, Sophie, honey, sweetheart, get to the point here. This isn't grad school. It feels like I'm writing a paper here. After the U.S. Supreme Court last year struck down the federal right to abortion, a decision known as Dobbs, policymakers and advocates in New Jersey scrambled to protect access here, with every week seeming to bring a new bill or rally. It was insufferable. It still is insufferable. Since then, abortion has largely fallen out of the headlines, and rightfully so, because New Jersey's unaffordable, girls. That's what matters. Not pronouns, property taxes, not your uterus, but spending. That's what matters right now. But you wouldn't know it because Dana and Sophie would rather virtue it. Because legislators early on enacted so many protections that it's considered a sanctuary state for those seeking to end a pregnancy, among other elements that make New Jersey a sanctuary state too, since we coddle illegals blatantly and openly. Here's one. Brittany Holm-Trundy, a senior policy analyst with the progressive think tank, the New Jersey Policy Perspective, said, quote, "We have stepped up in many ways that other states have not. Good for you. I mean, what do you want? You want a medal? I don't get it. But those protections are first steps," as she cautioned. Several proposals targeting abortion, affordability, and access for marginalized groups have been stuttered in the State House pipeline, leaving advocates with clear marching orders on what's left to be done as they mark the one-year anniversary of the Dobbs decision. Quote, once again, according to Holm-Trundy, ultimately the goal is to create a New Jersey where everyone has the right to grow their family how and when they want and have access to the reproductive health care choices that they need. Honey, you do have that, okay? The state of New Jersey has codified it into state law. See, this is what bothers me about people like Brittany, and again, all the aforementioned insufferable women that I just mentioned as well. Okay? And you got activists as well. You got Patricia Campos Medina, right, putting us to sleep with her weekly shows. Also virtue signaling with the aforementioned feminists and cat ladies. Okay? About, oh my God, get away from my uterus. No one's coming for your uterus, honey. They're just not. While reproductive choice and rights have been codified into state law, you're still bitching and moaning. Es como un tiki-tiki. You know what I'm saying? Like for those of you that are Hispanic and Latino, you know tiki-tiki, right? Like your woman next to you is like tiki-tiki, tiki-tiki. It's like the chirping. It's the constant nagging. This is, folks, this is what this column sounds like to me. When I'm reading this, I'm like, diggy, 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 diggy. Like, it's unbelievable, right? I mean, the idea, folks, and again, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but I'm trying to illustrate a point about truth, okay? Here in New Jersey, if you are a woman that gets knocked up tomorrow and you're reconsidering your pregnancy for a multitude of different reasons, maybe you can't afford it, maybe you got mad at the baby's father, maybe you broke up with him, maybe whatever reason, you have no infringement or restrictions to get an abortion in New Jersey. As far into the pregnancy as possible, okay? It's not like there's a 15-week ban here or a 15-week, asterisk, okay? If, and it's the summer months, okay? We all know what happens during the summer. All you ladies out there, single girl summer, you get drunk out of your minds, and you make a lot of bad choices during the summer from Thursday night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night, and you wake up Monday morning, probably next to some guy you probably regret waking up next to. Well, guess what, ladies? You can go to your Walgreens, you can go to your CVS, you can go to your local pharmacy and buy a Plan B, okay? You don't have to wait for a doctor's prescription. You can go there, spend something like, I don't know, the last time I looked, not that I bought one for anybody, but it's around $40, I think, maybe close to $50. All right? You have all that access in New Jersey, and you're still bitching and moaning. That's what makes a lot of you ladies insufferable. But let me continue with the comment. Abortion access remains at the whim of whoever holds the most power, according to Jackie Cornell, the executive director, check out this winner, of the Planned Parenthood Action Fund of New Jersey. Another woman making six figures, bitching and moaning about rights that she already has. And that's why she's already eyeing the next gubernatorial election in 2025. Here's a golden statement, according to this winner. Quote, I don't think New Jersey is a progressive state. Really? Really, Jackie? We don't coddle illegals enough? We didn't give illegals driver's licenses? We don't allocate tax dollars and put it into a legal fund to provide legal representation for illegals as they're fighting deportation? We haven't codified reproductive rights into state law? Really? Like, what more do you want? Like, again, it's the constant bitching and moaning that's just insufferable, right? I think we have progressive leaders in certain instances, but our state has always been fairly purple. It's been solidly blue. There might be some pockets in New Jersey that are about as red as my jacket, but folks, it's not enough to make a dent in the legislature, and that's why Democrats have had a majority in both the state assembly and the state senate for over 20 years now. So, Jackie, again, I don't know what you're smoking. I don't know. I know marijuana is legal in New Jersey now. I don't know whatever hit you took, but man, that's some good stuff there. Because boy, there's nothing purple about New Jersey. It's as blue as it comes. Okay. So do I think the election matters? Absolutely. Do I think that a pro-reproductive majority is much more delicate than people realize? 1,000%. 2025 for us is really massive. How, Jackie? How? I just explained it to you. But again, folks, you can always rely on Planned Parenthood and these insufferable organizations like Women for Progress, right? Make the Road New Jersey, Make the Road New York, Planned Parenthood, the New Jersey Alliance for Immigrant Justice, all these other, insufferable feminists and cat ladies that stink of cat piss. I can smell the cat piss here to my house. Okay? Making matters more precarious for abortion rights advocates, federal officials retain the power to append everything, Cornell said. She pointed to the ongoing battle likely to be ultimately decided by the U.S. Supreme Court to preserve access to the abortion pill. More than half abortions today are done by medication rather than the clinical procedures. Okay. All right. And of course, the column goes into protection since Dobbs, this long-winded dissertation here about what's going on in New Jersey. Right. Folks, this is what bothers me about this virtue signaling. And again, shame on the New Jersey Monitor because they should know better. In a time when we know that the liberal media in New Jersey carries buckets of water for the left and for all the social justice clowns and all the woke fools and the alphabet mob, you would think the New Jersey Monitor isn't going to be going down that rabbit hole too. But it seems like they are. I'm going to say it again. If you're a woman in New Jersey that gets knocked up tomorrow and you're reevaluating your pregnancy, you have a plethora of options, whether it's at clinics sponsored by Planned Parenthood, which is subsidized with taxpayer dollars, by the way, okay, to get an abortion as far late, I think, as possible. Again, single girl summer. Okay, a lot of you ladies make poor choices during the summer. I mean, a lot of you ladies probably make poor choices during the year too. Okay, and if you wake up next to somebody you don't want to wake up next to, guess what? You have access to a plan B. The idea that these organizations and all the activists I just named continue to bitch and moan about what's going on in Tennessee or Mississippi or Florida or Texas or, I don't know, Kentucky. Again, ladies, newsflash, you don't live here. Okay, you live here. You don't live there. Whatever happens in those states, there's something, again, and it's interesting to me because a lot of you, obviously, we know have failed high school biology. But it seems like you fell asleep during the day that they were teaching the Bill of Rights and constitutional law. Because if you opened up, whether on your smartphone or your physical copy of the Constitution, you know what the 10th Amendment states. And you know what the Dobbs decision also stipulated. But you don't want to hear that. You'd rather go virtue signal and bitch and moan and nag and tiki than understand that all the Dobbs decision did was relegate the decision back to the states and let the states govern themselves. Again, that's federalism, folks. All right? Because I know some of you ladies out there that I just mentioned have law degrees. How you don't remember this from constitutional law blows my mind. Okay? If you care so much about what's happening in Tennessee and Kentucky and Mississippi, do me a favor. Go there. Go stay there. Leave New Jersey. Believe me, I won't miss any of you ladies. Okay? But as long as you live here in New Jersey, stop your bitching and moaning. I'm tired of it. And I'm the only journalist that has the spine to say this out loud because you're becoming insufferable. Okay? Your uterus is fine in New Jersey. That's it. Move on to more important things. Folks, in a time when inflation is crippling families, when families have to make a decision between rent, putting a certain amount of food on the table, other amenities and expenses, okay? In a time when gas prices are approaching $4 again, in a time where food prices are making dining out almost impossible for many working class and middle class families, okay, these insufferable feminists and cat ladies would rather make you believe that their uterus is the most important thing during this election season. It's not. It's not about pronouns. It's about property taxes. Okay, it's not about your uterus or Dobbs. It's about responsible spending and holding legislators in Trenton accountable. But you wouldn't know that because I'm the only person talking about this. I'm the only person talking about kitchen table issues and issues around the living room floor that matter to voters. You'd rather go virtue signal. I'd rather go and talk about facts and issues. We're not the same. So again, to Dana DiFilippo and Sophie Nieto Munoz, good for you. Interesting column, but it's not going to sway people either way. Again, in a time when gas prices are going to prohibit and prevent families from maybe traveling during the summer months, from maybe visiting their in-laws or relatives, or just going on a family vacation because maybe flying is too expensive. That's what's hurting families today. Food prices, property taxes are suffocating New Jerseyans. Irresponsible spending on pet projects in Trenton. COVID money that the emperor's sitting on that should be going to municipalities. These are issues that matter, not your uterus. Come on, ladies, you're better than this. And some of you are old as hell, and you're still bitching and moaning about this. And some of you are young too, and some of you are in the middle as well. Worry about the issues that matter during this election cycle. Here in New Jersey, again, your uterus is fine. Access to an abortion is fine. Access to a plan B is fine. Stop your bitching and moaning. It's like, I'm up to here already having to deal with your insufferable lunacy. Folks, again, during this election season in 2023, in 2024, and in 2025, focus on the issues that matter. It's not anyone's uterus. It's all the issues I just mentioned. Spending, how much we have in our pockets, and quite frankly, whether or not we can afford to live in New Jersey or maybe move somewhere else. Those are the issues that matter, ladies. Get with the program. Am I the only one that sees it? Apparently so. And folks, once again, that's our show for this week. And of course, folks, I can't say enough that when we talk about these issues and we talk about the insufferable feminists and cat ladies I just mentioned, hey, we all know that if they need a tire for all their rallies and all their marches and all their protests, hey, check it out. I found you your perfect attire to wear when you go and virtue signal. Okay? It's easy to find on Amazon. It's easy to find on eBay. You can go to Party City. All this attire is ready and willing and waiting for you. And again, during a time when, folks, let's focus on the issues that matter. All these insufferable feminists, all these cat ladies, you know what they look like? I'll tell you what they look like. They look like all these people that continue to blow up our news feeds, to virtue signal, to be sanctimonious with their fake outrage. This is what all these insufferable feminists and all these cat ladies, that's what you look like to me and millions of other New Jerseyans. The only difference is I have the spine and the integrity to call it that. Again, folks, integrity, that pesky four-syllable word that many other journalists don't have in New Jersey. But guess what? I do. And once again, folks, that's our show for this week. Once again, I do want to thank the distinguished councilman out of the township of Parsippany-Troy Hills, Justin Musella, for his appearance tonight. Very interesting episode for sure. And of course, folks, check out Jersey First TV on all of your social media platforms. Make sure you like us on Facebook, of course, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, as well as subscribe on YouTube. And also, folks, download Jersey First from any smartphone, PC, Mac, or tablet, and download from wherever you get your podcasts on Spotify or SoundCloud, and take Jersey First TV with you during these summer months, whether you're going to Tiki Bar on Mondays, obviously not today with this rain, but on other Mondays throughout the summer, whether you're going to Atlantic City, maybe going to all these great food festivals during the summer months, take Jersey First TV with you anywhere, anytime during the summer months in 2023. Folks, I can't say enough how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, it is Jersey First TV. Without a doubt, brand new episodes of the outstanding show, The Nader Narrative, hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader, premiere every Thursday via jerseyfirst.org/TV. And of course, brand new episodes of the amazing and very informative program, Bridging the Gap, hosted by AJ Malilo and Stephen Rambolo. New episodes air every Thursday as well. And also, folks, brand new episodes of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe air every Monday night here at 6 p.m. or 7 p.m., depending on the summer months, folks. Again, check out the website and also check out all the social media platforms for updated times and schedules during the summer months. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you enough for, of course, tuning in as we close out the month of June. Thank the Lord. July 1st cannot come soon enough for me. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, without all of you, the great traffic that this show produces would not be possible. Folks, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist, Top 50 Latino via the Latino Spirit online magazine. Of course, the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media. Without a doubt, the people's choice and the people's voice. And without a doubt, the most handsome face that runs the place. That's right. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Folks, have a great rest of your week. Happy 4th of July. We will not be having a show next Monday night, July the 3rd. We will be having a show on Wednesday, July the 5th at 7 p.m. Again, I'll announce the guest shortly. Folks, again, enjoy the 4th of July as we celebrate another year of the greatest country in the world and really the symbol of freedom and democracy throughout the entire planet. Folks, happy birthday, Lady Liberty. Next Tuesday, again, folks, we will not be having a show on Monday. Enjoy the long weekend. Please party responsibly, and we'll see you next Wednesday night, folks, July the 5th at 7 p.m. for the latest edition of Real Talk via Jersey First TV. I'm Fernando Uribe, folks. As always, thank you so much for watching.